Hey, welcome back on the Good Morning Artesia radio show, and there's an event coming up that I don't know anything more other than it's called Fields of Faith. So we're going to learn about Fields of Faith here. And joining us, we have from the First United Methodist Church, Richard Slaughter. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning.
And from Trinity Temple, Matt Baldwin. Good morning, Matt.
How's it going?
Good. So I was I was at the high school job fair the other day, and I saw all these kids with red hair. I'm not saying you had anything to do with that.
Yeah.
But I noticed you have red hair, and I'm just wondering where did that come from in your family?
My grandma, from what I understand, but it's just one of those little things that sneaks its way into the genetics,
Yeah. I have a sister that has that red hair, and every so often they tell me if you look in the light just right, there's a little red tinge in my beard, and you always wonder where does that come from. So, Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been in Trinity Temple.
Yeah, so I started on working with kids in 2019, 2015. Well, yeah, that's a big difference. About 2015, so just kind of been here since 2009, went to high school, kind of came up as my parents moved here and just got connected. My uncle had been working with the church and other things like that, and just she always was in the youth group and always around the different things, and just continued after college and came on when our previous children pastor passed away, and just been working with that and the youth and stuff. And
well, where'd you get to go to college?
Went to Southwestern Assemblies of God University. So.
Exciting. And your family? You've got...
Yeah, I've got a wife and a 2.5-year-old, and then we have one on the way, going to be due in January. So,
well, congratulations on that. Well, we just had a 3-year-old in here, and she really enjoyed that microphone right there. So that may be something you want to just have setting around the house for her here in a little bit.
Microphone.
So, yeah. Richard Slaughter, good to see you again. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your work at the Methodist Church.
Yeah, I'm the student ministry pastor at the Methodist Church. We moved here in July of 2019. We moved from Dallas, the Dallas area, to come here and serve at the Methodist Church. And
you made it here just in time for COVID.
Yes. Pastor Monty and I joke all the time that there hasn't been a normal week since I've been here, and that's been 3.5 years now. So I don't think we're going to get a normal week.
No, I'm afraid that's not happening. Your family? Are you by yourself, or
nope.
You've got a family?
Yeah, my wife and my 3 children are here with us, and they're in school and doing all the fun athletics and student council and all those things.
So they're a little older than Matt's kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I was a little. He's expecting, and we're way past that stage.
Well, let's talk about Fields of Faith. What is Fields of Faith? Let's just start there with what that is.
Okay, so Fields of Faith is a Fellowship of Christian Athletes program, and so really these things are happening all over the country. And when I came in 2019. We did one, was it in October that year as well?
Probably was, somewhere around there.
I think so.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, there were a bunch of us and basically it's a bunch of student ministry pastors who got together to put on an event. We did this in Dallas, and it was really successful, and so when I got here, I thought, what a great way to meet the other youth pastors and to just do some work together to reach the students in our community. So we had to take a break for a couple of years, and now that we're somewhat back to normal, of course they don't see my air quotes on the radio.
No, but they see it on the TV. See,
there you go.
Yeah.
Normal. We decided we're going to try to give it a go again.
Okay. And so you've invited all the youth ministers from all the different churches and groups around town?
Yes, and well, as many as I know, which is one of the reasons why we're here, is we want to extend that invitation to all the churches in our listening area, with junior high and high school students. This is obviously it's a multi-denomination event, and so we have, Trinity Temple, the Methodist Church, West Main Baptist is on board with us. Catalyst is going to be attending the event. Who else we got?
We got Harvest.
Harvest, yep. How can I forget Harvest? And so there's several churches in the area that are jumping on board, and we want to invite everyone who wants to come out and hear the gospel and worship and have fun to do that with us.
It's cool to be able to get together in a kind of a neutral location, which is kind of the goal of it. You know, whether you're using the big Bulldog Bowl or like Morris Field, which is what we're using this year. But just to have that neutral place where people can come together and students can all kind of combine. We can kind of break down barriers of denominational divide and all that stuff, and just say, hey, if the point is the gospel, then let's get together and let's let the students be encouraged together and do that. Yeah.
Okay, so it'll be at Morris Field.
Yeah, Morris Field at 6:30 next Wednesday, which should be the 19th.
October 19th at 6:30 p.m. at Morris Field in Artesia, historical Morris Field. You know, we say world famous Bulldog Bowl, but we have to say historical Morris Field. It's hard to believe that was where the high school played their football games prior to, was it 68, 69 when the bowl was built. So, and there's some film footage out there of some of those early state championship games that were played at that field. Everybody dressed up nicely. Men were almost wearing suits and hats. Ladies were wearing dresses. They had their big old purses, dress shoes and everything, all to come out to a high school football game. You don't see that today, do you?
No.
Not so much.
Not so much. What will be the program? Will there be speakers, or will it just be kind of an open period of time?
So we are going to have a youth worship team led by students, and then we have a pastor coming in from Texas who speaks at camps and different things. His name is Kendall Meeks, and he's going to be speaking for us, and I got to know him through going to church camp in Texas, and he's great with a group of teenagers, and so we're really looking forward to what he has to say.
Okay. And one of the things we wanted to talk about is, why are we having this event? Why is this event taking place? And Matt, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about it first, as to how why you're involved and why we need to do this.
And in the Fields of Faith, like you said, being such a big thing, they have a website and they have all sorts of information about their general mentality for it and stuff. But like I said, kind of the goal of being able to draw people together from a community where it's not just, well, you're at your church, whatever, but to bring church community together, but also other people. To me, when I look at it, I say, hey, there's kids that are going to come to a random event out at a football field that'll never come to your church. And maybe that's something that sparks and allows them to show up to somebody's church and say, you know what, man, I think this is important stuff, or whatever. So be able to get at that, like I said, neutral location where we can share the good news of Jesus, where we can have some praise, where have prayer, have a connection with the Lord, and encourage and build up faith together, and hopefully find some people that aren't involved and get them involved in the plans that God has for them all together in that kind of space, I think.
Sure. And Richard, how about for you? Why is this an important event for you? I mean, you've talked about how you brought it with you, or you wanted to bring the concept with you when you came from Dallas, but now you're here in Artesia. You've been here a couple of years. Why is this important to do again?
I think we have a lot of effective student ministries in our community, and I think that there's still opportunities to reach students. And so, to what Matt said, there might be students who will show up with a friend or come to the football field who wouldn't come to a Wednesday or Sunday night event. And really, that's what this is about. We want to encourage students who maybe don't have a faith with Jesus to consider a relationship with Jesus, and then we want those students who do to be encouraged and strengthened in their faith. And for me, those students, like if a student comes to an event and really connects with Matt or Jerry over at Harvest, like I want them to go where they're going to be fed and where they're going to be supported. And so for us, more than anything, it's just loving the students in this community and coming together with a bigger vision to reach them than in our immediate context.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's good because, teenagers all through history have always had issues that they've had to deal with as they're growing up. Maybe they're a little bit different nowadays as you work with the teens in Artesia. What are some of the big things that are making teens happy nowadays, and what are some of the things that they're dealing with right now?
The things that teenagers deal with don't seem to change over time. It's the environment in which they deal with them that changes. And for us, you know, I've been doing student ministry for about 13 years, and just from that time till now, it's just vastly different. We didn't have to worry about social media at one point. We didn't. What was that? No one knew.
Right.
And so the things that teenagers deal with are still very common to what teenagers have always dealt with, but like I say, the environment changes. And for us, it's I think what I'm learning in ministry is that we got to get creative. The gospel works, has always worked, will continue to work. We just sometimes got to get creative in our delivery and how we get that to students.
Yeah, maybe have a bunch of phones laying on the field, and everybody, when they're looking down, oh, look.
Maybe we need a giant bucket to collect phones.
I know.
That'll never work.
No. No, it's crazy because there's such wonderful devices, you know, handheld computers that are connected to the world, but they're handheld computers that are connected to the world, and so it's hard to just hard to imagine some of the pressures or how the environment, like you said, the environment they're in. Matt, what are some of the things?
Yeah, well, and kind of, you know, and that's one of the big things that we see. Most of it is that really trying to distinguish the lines between what's real and what's just being fed to me, you know, that is a constant. And once again, people, there's nothing new under the sun. You know, people have been dealing with some of the same stuff, but like you said, with that extra influence from media where everything's at my fingertips, but nothing is shown the way it is.
There's no context.
You know, yeah, there's no context, there's no extra, or there's just flat out lies on everything that we're watching, and we're just flooding in, and all it does is it absorbs us in self is what it does. It gets us just stuck in a little bubble where I'm not considering anybody else, I'm not considering other things. You know, you get a lot of trauma through some rough circumstance that happens, and then all of a sudden all these kids, like my wife teaches at the high school, and there's this big thing that happened, and all these kids are sharing this terribly violent video of this terrible, awful shooting or whatever else, and it starts spreading. She starts looking, she says, "What are y'all doing?" She's like, "Everybody put your phones away." Like, you know, like, what are you even thinking about what you're doing? There's family of those people that have not heard of what's going on, and then all of a sudden they find a video on Facebook, and that has to be the first thing they hear. You know, some of those kind of weird things that go on because we're just so consumed in whatever's happening with media that we can't think outside of ourselves and consider somebody else. It's already been a problem to get outside of myself, to put somebody else before myself, but especially when my whole life revolves around me and this thing in front of me.
Yeah.
And so trying to pierce through some of those bubbles and those walls that people have made and say, hey, there's something greater that gives your life purpose. And that's what he's saying when we talk about how the gospel is effective. You know, God's the only thing that can give us purpose. Christ is the only one who can restore what God wanted for us. And so being able to come to that place of recognition so that we can walk forward and then be able to do some of those things he encouraged us to do to give us better life. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Have either one of you heard Kendall speak? Have you been at
Yes,
one? You have?
I have.
Mm-hmm.
We went to camp in Texas, at Camp Nova, a couple of years ago. We typically go to Sacramento, but they were closed because of
New Mexico.
Yep. We'll leave it at that. And so I was determined to take my students and get them a camp experience. And so I took them to Camp Nova, and he was the speaker. And typically, if you're a youth pastor and you're taking your students, you don't connect with the speaker very much. But there was a class that he was like a breakout class that he was teaching on a subject that I'm pretty familiar with. And so we got to talking, and so we kind of hit it off, and we've stayed in touch. So when I needed a speaker, I just messaged him, and I was like, hey, would you be interested? And he was. So yeah. He's a good guy, and I think he'll do a great job. He connects well with students.
That's great. So it's part of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes programs. It's called Fields of Faith. And the event in Artesia is on the 19th, which we said was...
next Wednesday.
Wednesday. Why didn't I write that down? Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. is when it gets started, and it'll be at the Morris Field, which is just east of the Bulldog Bowl. Well, it's east of the auditorium and the pit and all that, about a block away from the Bulldog Bowl. I think most people in town, if you say Morris Field, they know where that is.
A big stone
I think
wall.
so.
Yeah. That's
And
great.
we're
Have you
gonna
ever
have
taken time to kind of look through that brick wall and see some of the intricate little doodads that have been added in, that were added in there when that was built?
No, when I'm there, I'm usually trying to make sure my kids don't fall off the top of it. Because for whatever reason, they all want to sit on the top level of it, overlooking the sidewalk. I'm just one of those dads. Like, why are we doing this?
I understand, because I was.
That reminds me, maybe we should. We're gonna be on the field, so maybe we won't have that problem.
You won't even know anything about that.
No, but
Yeah.
we're gonna have some games, and we're gonna have some giveaways and prizes and things like that. So
Okay.
it should be really fun. Hope everyone can come out and enjoy it. 6th through 12th grade, but you know, if parents want to come out and bring their family, they're more than welcome to do that.
And if there's any of the other youth, church youth programs that would have an interest in wanting to help and participate, or at least invite and make their kids that go to their church aware of what's going on, they can reach out to one of you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. They can find me at the Methodist Church. So the number for that is 746-3535. So if you have questions or concerns, just give me a call. I can answer those. But if you don't have any questions or concerns, feel free to just show up, come out, and enjoy.
Very good. Anything else you'd like to add, Matt? Anything you'd like to add?
That pretty much covers it, yeah.
Okay, Richard, did we get all the info out that we wanted to get out?
I think so. Someone out there listening is going to think that we forgot something.
You're thinking that you forgot something right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking about like all the people who are involved that are listening to this right now.
Well, and then we put it on social media, and we share it there too. That's why we have the cameras. You guys are on camera right now.
Yes.
So.
Which is unfortunate because I was always told I have a face for radio,
And now it's all over.
and the video doesn't help at all.
Right there. There's the camera there. So, Richard Slaughter from the First United Methodist Church, Matt Baldwin from Trinity Temple. Thank you both for being here, and best of luck. Hope you have a nice turnout next Wednesday.
Absolutely.
very much.
Thank you.